As we get closer to the release of 2K25, I figured I'd share some knowledge with you guys. Share some knowledge that maybe some of you may have thought about, maybe some of you may have not thought about, but I'm gonna bring it to your attention. 2K25 will be easier for you if you follow this tip or develop this mindset. The arcade community, or the dark side of the community as I refer to them as, but as many of you refer to them as, the comp community. If you developed a mindset going into 2K25 that side of the community is essentially a boss in any of the games that you know of that have bosses. Souls games, Elden Ring, Cuphead, Bloodborne, Lies of P, games like that, games that have boss levels, boss enemies to fight. You have to look at that side of the community in that manner. What do I mean by that? I mean, those type of individuals are programmed. Same thing like the bosses in the games that I just mentioned, in the games that you know of, they're programmed. They're predetermined. They have a rhythm, they have a design, they have a method that they are programmed to follow. You, as the human who has an adaptive mind, will be able to overcome these obstacles once you figure out the method and the rhythm and the tactics that those enemies are using. The bosses in those games, you know, they have a move set that they do, and the harder the boss, the more in tune you have to be able to defeat that boss. And many of you guys who are watching this, and many of your other content creators you have watched, they may have struggled on a said boss for days, hours, weeks, and for some sad cases, sometimes even months. But the great thing about the human mind is that it has the ability to adapt. It has the ability to figure things out, and eventually you will overcome that boss, because you'll get the rhythm. You'll understand what move comes after what move, which attack comes after which attack. You know which attack you have to defend. You know which attack you have to just get hit by because it's unblockable. So when it comes to this community, that side of the community, they have essentially taken their human adaptive mind and has programmed it into a moveset, which is whatever the meta becomes in 2K25, the majority will be programmed to play that way. Do that moveset, use that jump shot, use that layup package, use that dunk package, and so on and so forth, right? So you, as the adaptive human, should be able to adapt to these tactics and counteract them and make your experience better. Now, that ties into the argument that I made on this channel. I don't know if it was this year, earlier this year, or maybe last year, where I said 2K players aren't basketball players. You know, you have basketball players that play 2K, you have 2K players that can play basketball, but there's a fine line. The 2K player is the programmed AI per se. They're already programmed and designed to have a moveset that they like to do. They cannot operate outside of that moveset. Basketball players who play 2K are the ones that are truly unguardable. Why do I say that? It's because those guys adapt to the method or the play or the game that's at hand. You see what I'm saying? For instance, if you see a build, let's tie this back to this past year since that's more relevant. Whenever you've seen a 3-point shot hunter in 2K24 with a 94 3 ball, 92 plus 3 ball, and a 95 ball handle, what do you think this individual is going to do? Given the knowledge that you already had on a game, you should already went into that game knowing that this individual is going to dribble to shoot a 3. Knowing those stats right there, you know that this individual most likely does not have any defense in his build, which now attests to his team is going to be running a zone. And on top of that, if a 3-point shot hunter is what you're matched up with the 94 and 95 ball handle, 9 times out of 10, that center is gonna have 99 offensive rebound, defensive rebound, about 95, 96 strength. And his sole purpose of that game is to set the screen to get the 3-point shot hunter open. And that 3-point shot hunter will dance around that screen until he can get his 3-point shot off, right? That's the program. That's the boss that you're gonna have to beat in that game. Those wing players, a part of that team, they're gonna have anywhere between 91 to 96 still. And one of them is gonna have high perimeter defense as well. Most likely, if they have one person with high defense, he's gonna be on the ball. If they have 2 players or 3 players with high steals, they're gonna be in the zone, and the high steal people are gonna be played at the top. That's your boss, right? So the adaptive human being should have figured out as the year went on when you see these type of teams, you already know what to expect, so you won't be blindsided. If a 3-point shot hunter is taking layups and taking mid-range shots, you won. You won that defensive possession. Does he score? Yes. But you're making him score in a manner that he does not want to score. You'll be surprised if you looked at these individuals and you actually said no threes and you gave up that roll every time and you double teamed that 3-point shot hunter. You would be surprised how desperate that individual would get to get a 3-point off. If he couldn't do it in a half court because y'all trapping him on a pick and roll, y'all forcing him to throw the ball to the center, he's gonna get mad that he can't score over letting the center score 50 points in that game. Once he passes that ball 3 times and he gets that mamba with his sponge, he's gonna activate his limitless range takeover, which then he's gonna get real crazy with his ball handling skills because he's gonna be doing the same moves he's been doing the entirety of the game. He's gonna break your ankles and he's gonna yak from limitless range. And if that's not working, he's gonna start to crab you, which is a whole nother boss within itself. And if that doesn't work, all else fails and he still can't score on you or get his 3-point shots off, when a shot goes up, when your team takes that shot, he's out of there. He's running straight to the corner. That dude is going to break start that pass to him. He's going to shoot a 3. I just described 2K24 to you in that whole scenario right there. That's the boss. Once you figure that out, going into 25 is going to be the same meta. It's always the same. It's always going to be some guy who learns how to dribble, learns how to spam, and he's going to ISO at the top of the key. Whether it's going to be your point guard, whether it's going to be a small forward, whether it's going to be a center, which is now what you have to include now because that's just the way this community works. So 1 through 5 will have an ability to ISO. You win if you force that isolation player to do something that he does not want to do. If a guy puts a 3-point attribute at a 92, you should already go into that game knowing that's what he wants to shoot. There would be no reason for somebody to put a 92 3-pointer and they never utilize it. So he's telling you the game, that's the program. See, a basketball player adjusts to the game at hand. And that side of the community gets angry a lot when you call them out on their bluff. And the first thing they want to do is be like, oh, wager or 1v1 me or get your 5 or whatever the case is. And that's the first thing they're going to jump to, right? And if you was to accept the challenge and go out there and play these individuals, once they called it out, you know you're gonna get spammed way more than you would if they weren't bothered. And then they'll go out there and all of that's they'll talk and they'll say, oh, you're trash, and they'll say your stuff doesn't work, but that doesn't change the rules that have been applied. You see what I'm saying? You see, a spammer and an arcade player can cook the basketball player or whatever, and that still does not change the fact that you're an arcade player and that's a basketball player. It doesn't change the fact. You see, you can have a good game, a good stretch, a good series. You gonna get popped at some point. Everybody gets popped. That's what happens. So that comp, that dark side, that other side of the community, they get popped. And they get popped by some of the bummiest teams you could ever think of. Because when they off, there's nothing you can do about it. But see, that's another story for another day. See, people don't even want to admit that. Them same guys that'll tell you how trash you are and that it won't work be the same dudes who dashboarding because they don't got punched on by a team that figured them out, downloaded their offense, and negated them. You see, earlier in the year, I played a content creator in the rec when the game first came out, probably within the first month. And I had no idea who he was. It wasn't until my friends notified me of who he was. I'm not gonna name drop him because this community is toxic. And facts or realities or lines that get blurred because this community will have a lot of amnesia on things that don't put them in the limelight. But I played, your typical quote, comp, unquote player, right? And at the beginning of the game, he was isoing me and it wasn't really going too well for him. And by the second quarter, he started to use the pick and roll game, which still wasn't going too well for him because I told my center, just make him throw that roll the whole game. See if he's gonna throw it. And like I stated, he didn't, he threw the roll enough to get Mamba, but then he, started going to desperate mode. So by the third quarter of that game, there was 3 screens being set. 3. The center, the power forward, and the small forward all lined up like dominoes and was setting screens just for this guy to get a 3-point. And our team ended up losing the game, and he finished the game with 40 something points or whatever. And literally the whole difference of the game was just because the strengths, the things that he would go to just to get his shot off was amazing. But like I said, it's just a program. It's a program. And you always have to be prepared for the program that you're about to face. So going into 25, if you are a guard who is going to be playing on ball, which I highly suggest this year, 2K has kind of already insinuated that they want guards to start guarding guards because they gave the small guards the mini marksman, which is probably going to be overpowered, which is 2K basically trying to insinuate don't put that 6'7", 6'8" lockdown on this 6'2", 6'1", 6'3" guard, because they essentially gave them the power to be able to negate your contest in your defense. So if you're going to play a guard and you're going to guard the ball, just understand that every one of those players have a level that you're just going to have to figure out. And once you figure it out, you realize that the aggravation that you might have thought about happening or having is no longer there, because you just have to figure it out. Because once you shut the program down, the program is no longer useful. You get what I'm saying? And so for those of you who watch this video, if you look forward to 2K25 and you look at it with that mindset, the mindset of these are just boss levels that you just have to complete, and once you figure it out, every boss that has that attribute is going to do the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Because it's this community is really like a monkey see, monkey do community. Once somebody sees one thing that works, they're going to do that same thing that works and not even realize that they just put themselves in the same boat. You get what I'm saying? And that's where a lot of this community gets, how should I say, they get caught up in that. You get what I'm saying? Instead of learning how to play basketball, they trying to learn how to play 2K, and then you run up against somebody who has basketball knowledge plus 2K skill, and you stand no chance. Because like I insinuated before, a basketball player that plays 2K is very unpredictable with what they do because they adapt to the game that's at hand. The 2K player comes into the game with the mentality, this is what I'm going to do, this is how we're gonna play, this is what's gonna happen. And then they can't adjust because they don't have any skill. For example, some teams play 2-3 zone off the tip. You don't even realize how the team is going to play to break that. You get what I'm saying? You playing 2-3 zone because you're so worried about hiding this guy in a corner or keeping your big in the paint because he don't want to move. And then don't even realize that you playing a team that got 5 good to elite shooters on the court. And like I was breaking down in my Inside the Mind video, if your point guard stands at the top of the key of the 2-3 zone with 2 wing standers, you already have an outnumber at the top where it's gonna force rotation. When you 5 out the 2-3, they're gonna have to man you up at some point just to be able to cover all grounds because they can't cover. And all you gotta do is make the read. But you see, the team that went into the zone at the start of the game is the team that already put themselves at a disadvantage because you didn't even read the team you was playing. You didn't even adjust to the team you was playing. You came out in your program set already. And in the same breath, a basketball player who's playing this game will come up the court and say, man, they're in the zone. This is the offense we're gonna run. Okay, they don't got out the zone now. Now they're in man. So now whoever is the weakest on the defensive side of the floor, that's the person we're going to attack. So either we gonna put them in some action or you just gonna get the ball and we gonna run an offense through you. Now the game has been simplified. Now the team that was once programmed to play a certain type of way cannot adjust because you don't even have the players on the court to be able to adjust to the game that's being played. But see, people will hang their hat on the outliers. Like, oh, this is just the one game out of the 30 we're gonna play today that we're gonna experience this. But that's all it takes is one game. It takes one game for you to be figured out. And then the same thing that y'all do, the other side of the community can do. The light side of the community do. When y'all wanna upload y'all games where y'all cooking, the other side of the community can upload the games you got cooked and show the world that this is what happened. And now you must answer. But 2K25, I'm telling you, man, this channel is going to be doing some marvelous things because I am now dedicating myself to helping you guys be able to enjoy this game for the reason it was made for you to enjoy. Because if you follow this channel and you're watching this video 9 times out of 10, you enjoy the game of basketball in its purity. You enjoy the nuances of the game. You enjoy the elite role players of the game. You enjoy the way that the game is being played. You enjoy basketball. And basketball is a really simple game. Out of all the sports that get played, basketball is the most simplest. Stay in front of your man, help the helper, and score more points than them. The whole goal is to stop your guy with the ball from scoring while scoring the ball more than the other team. And for some reason, people forget that basketball is a 5v5 thing. And the best teams that ever existed had 5 players who was to be accounted for on every possession, in every quarter, and every minute of that game. And now we have the only simulation basketball game on the market that unfortunately has to please both sides, even though their creation started off of being a simulation basketball. But now that they're the only one on the market, they have to please both sides. Sides that enjoy the purity of the game of basketball, and sides that just want to have fun, because that's what they mask all of this buffoonery that goes on in 2K. They mask it behind, I want to have fun. And y'all got to be very careful with the smoke screens and the masks behind things that are fun, because some things aren't designed or meant to be that way, but because you put it that way, it seems to be fun, but it's not really fun. It's really an underlying issue, and it's really just abusing things that just shouldn't even, like, you shouldn't have to abuse that to be able to have fun in a game. Fun is what fun for me is outsmarting the person that I'm playing in everything. That's fun. Fun to me is being one step ahead of everything that you're trying to do. I know your counter before you even think about counter. I'm prepared for your counter. I'm prepared for your counter to your counter. I'm prepared for your counter to the counter to the counter to the counter. You get what I'm saying? That's fun. But some of y'all think fun is just abusing mechanics in a game that are clearly broken and clearly need to be fixed, and that's fun. So be it. But for those of you who are actually trying to learn how to apply basketball knowledge into the simulation basketball game that you decided to put your money into and invest into, this is the channel to be in 2K25, because I'm going to teach you guys how to do that. I'm not going to teach you the individual moves that like a Kevin Cruz might teach you, or Jersey Made might teach you, or teach you the post game like a Black Cobra might teach. What I'm gonna teach is the principles of the game being applied to the game that you're playing. Because if you follow the principles of the game, you'll always be able to compete year by year, game to game, level to level. You'll always be able to compete because the principles that you follow will always be set. I'm not sitting here saying you're gonna be undefeated. I'm not gonna be sitting here telling you that you'll be looked at as the best player to ever play the game. No, I'm not telling you that at all. What I will tell you is I'll be able to up your win percentage, or be able to show you that the game is really simple if you allow them to beat themselves. You get what I'm saying? And just buckle up, man. Buckle up, because 2K25 is going to be our year, family. It's going to be our year. I promise you. It's going to be our year. And I'm very excited, and I'm very ready to just get on with the 2K25 year. But going into 2K25, I really want you to follow this tip that I just explained to you. Is just figure them out. They're a boss level, and all you have to do is just be able to adapt to what's going on, and you'll have a much better experience.